boundless time cycles ekle શું તો પછી how can there be another time cycle? બરાબર ને? If it's boundless, if it has no beginning, no end, ekle how can I explain this to you? હવે I have a very simple and ridiculous explanation, but let's start. If number one was a chicken who lays the egg, all right? Let's start there. Number two is when you go get the egg. Okay, it's that type of thing. So you have a chicken, you have an egg, then you're going to mix that egg, number three, supposing. And if you just farrow your cattle once or twice, it's not going to be complete, ready for pour-off, right? You can't make an omelette. So you're going to look at it and you say it's not ready. You're going to mix it again. Is it okay? It's not ready. Mix it again. John, where I proper enu texture thai, enu proper formation thai, storage apre idu leine pora ma nakhiya. Correct ne? So boundless time cycles are boundless because until the situation, the circumstances are perfected in that cycle for what it's supposed to do, don't worry, cycle chalyaj karse until that is perfected, then you go to the next cycle. So પછી આ ઈડું મિક્સ કીધું ને આપણે ફ્રાઈંગ પેનમાં નાખ્યું, પોરો થાય જ, ફ્રાયર ઓન કરીએ જ, then we flip the poro, right? We flip it and we wait. When it's done only, then you can take it out. So similarly, all these cycles. Then pachi when somebody has to eat it, it goes in the plate, and then you have to start eating it. And even eating takes a process. Only when it's finished, then you can say you never knew if the egg existed or not because you didn't see the chicken and now you don't see the egg. But anyway, so that's a very simple example of saying that the cycle has to continue until the situation in that time period is perfected enough to go to the next stage. Okay? I'll leave it at that. These are very, very deep concepts, and I think you could talk about each one for years and years. So we'll just move on to our purpose. I prefer to show the diagram this way because basically we are going from cycle 1 down to the 4, and then that is our journey down to earth until we are humans, and then from 4 we make our way back up, journey back to Dadormasa. It's a better way, I think, to visualize and depict it. So what is all these cycles and what happens? So I'll just touch on them very briefly. Like I said, it's years of study. So the fourth cycle that we're in right now, you can consider that our present day. What we know of this time is now. All our history books, everything, that's all what we call present of present. Earlier present was which? Was when the astral world was being. Ekle, the Big Bang, when the universe was created. Okay, you can think of it that way. Before that, what was something caused the universe to be created? What caused the universe to be created? There were 7 asmans of Hasti. Sat Hastina Asman che, 7 asmans or of heaven, 7 asmans of heaven. All right? So even that took thousands and thousands of years and millennia to finish. But even something caused that 7 asmans of heaven to be created. So what was that? That happened all in the very first, or what we call para, or the past of all past. એટલે તો દાદોરમસનું ઘેર છે. Siyo se omesaspan, the power to create, the power to destroy, the power to reform. Te બધું આ first Zavarna Karnama che. But right now we are here. Okay, on the 4th. Now, our topic is actually about the 5th, 6th, and 7th. But until we understand these, we will not understand what's afterlife, right? Because we have to know where we came from first. So talking about the present very quickly, why are we here? Aprama Dhruj che. From the very past of all past cycles, from the very beginning, from number 1. Dador mazike yukeba amma ke mane caramel dekhai. What was the caramel? We don't know. It's beyond our understanding because there was no universe, there was no light, there was no darkness. But apparently there's consciousness. So what is that karo dog? Is basically a sense of ego, a sense of something going against the divine perfection of thought. So our master says, "Ene kem saaf karwanu? I'll have to make this creation. I have to take this, what we think is thought, and we'll have to make it into spirit, and then from spirit into matter, and then from matter it will get get alchemized. Finished from matter, we have to raise it back into spirit and back into divine light. Samajh aaye concept of why we are here? Okay, so this is the whole purpose of apne yasu karyaj. Te purpose vagar we cannot think ahead about what's in the future. We have to keep that purpose in mind all the time. That's why we go through all these ups and downs in our life, because that's our, until we understand the ways of our five senses are not right, the ways of Dada or Mazda are correct, until we get disattached to our negative pull within us, until that happens, we cannot move forward back to perfection. So this is why we go through life. It teaches us many lessons, teaches us how not to hate, teaches us what happens if we hate, teaches us what happens if we destroy the earth, teaches us everything. So then we go back to finding ways. It's a life, it's a learning for us. Biggest school. Okay, but just to bring that back to your memory. So now we're again here for these reasons. Sorry. So I'm going to work backwards from the present, because I think it'll be easier to understand from the present Zavarna Karna. Sorry, I keep missing this, pushing the wrong arrow. I'm going to work backwards from the present, then I'll talk a little bit about the third and the second and the first, just so we get a better idea, and then we'll move to forward, okay? So the earlier present, what we call it, or the third Zavarna Karna, it is when that, like I said, the astral world was created. Okay, when both physical bodies were produced, souls were produced for the purpose of our salvation. This is the point that is referred to as cosmogenesis. In this time, when everything was being created, that we see. But before that, before cosmogenesis, which we think time began at cosmogenesis, but according to our Dharam, time began far before cosmogenesis. So then there's a stage of pre-cosmogenesis. That's when the Hasti was created. 7 Asmans. I've already touched on that, but I just want to repeat it. And then before that, there was the Minoi Alam. Dadormas na be Asman. Naumu na Atmu Asman. So all these four Zavarna Karna from 1, 2, 3, and 4, they are all the evolution of matter, from light and spirit into matter. Now we are matter, correct? Now we're going to have to work our way back. But working our way back means we have to delve into a little bit of mysticism, because we cannot see that world. It's difficult for us to understand that world. But luckily, sorry, keep pressing the wrong button. But luckily there's always an example in nature that will help us understand a little better, or draw comparisons a little better. So I'm going to try to draw a comparison. And for me, the best comparison I found was itself our own life here, our birth and our life here. So let's see how to do that. So if we look at our life here right now, as we are human beings sitting here, that's the present. If you want to compare with that to Nisti, you can think of us as when we were a fetus in our mom's womb. Maina petma uta, the things were developing. Our brain was developing, our organs were developing, our limbs were developing. That's that period of cosmogenesis that we don't see, but it's very similar to our development in the womb. Before that, what happened? Even before that, we existed, right? We existed because there was a sperm and an egg that met and became one cell. And then that cell floated down and found its way and attached itself to some place in the mother's uterus. So that is the way that our soul has come down through Nisti and Hasti and Nisti, and finally come down to earth. It has found its way down to earth. It's just drawing some relative comparison so you can sort of have some idea. And then the world beyond that is really completely not comprehensible by us, because before you were a human being, you were two separate people. There was your father and your mother. And because they met and because they had loved an inconceivable emotion, not anything that we can prove, not anything that we can show, because of that something, the parents came together and then we had the union. So it's very close to creation in that sense, and you can compare the rest of your journey somehow similar. Okay, because this now the life after death questions arise. Reincarnation, life after death, individual renovation. All of these are true. It just happens at a certain time and place in our soul's journey. So every one of these stages has a place. Each one of these concepts has one place in these Zavarna Karna. And keep in mind that our physical body is only one very small stage in our soul's journey. So we cannot compare everything to our physical body. After our death, the first thing that happens is we have to move through Apra Nisti. Nisti ma, you see these words in Mer Nyash, ne? IV Antare, Upari, Andari, Pairi, and IP. Okay, so we are moving through these Nistina realms after death. And where do we go? Our earth is right now between Pairi Dakyu and IP Dakyu. And then we call Sarosh Yazid, and hopefully if our Kriya is done right, and we are at the Dakmanash and Apur Dakmanashini Thayu Hoy, to Sarosh Yazid Avi, and it takes us past these Adhari and Upari Dakyus, which is basically our way alam. You know, where all the good spirits and bad spirits stay. Okay? And it takes you straight to Upari Dakyu. Now, Upari Dakyu is what we call Chinvat. Upper Chinvat pool, what we say Chinvat pool, that's Upari Dakyu. It's an entire Dakyu, one realm in Nisti. They talk about thousands and thousands of years Karyaj. Upari Dakyu ma. Ekle my mommy gujri gaya and she came back as my daughter or my son or something. That is impossible. We spend thousands and thousands of years in Upari Dakyu, or what we call Chinvat. Even a good soul, it is said, sends minimum of 500 years, sometimes 1,000. Elokonubadu, maybe they have freed their soul from attachment, maybe there's some karmic relations still left, maybe they can repair that while they're in Nisti. So even a good saintly soul spends thousands of years. Okay? So let's talk about from Upari Dakyu forward. Upari Dakyu, as I said, is Chinvat. Ton apre Jaisu, Sarosh is at Lejas, and then now we have our work to do there. It is not so easy. Dadaji said that we are not one with him yet. Okay? On reaching there, and these are big concepts, but there's two things that we have to do. One is to cleanse our kedar. So all the negative words, thoughts, deeds we did while we were living. Because only thing that is lost when you die is your physical body. Your Fravashi is still there, your Bodang is still there, Urvan is still there, Kerp is still there. All your thoughts, words, and deeds are hanging around in your Kerp. The only thing that's gone is your physical body. So you're not perfected yet. You're not pure light. You're not perfection. You cannot merge with Aura yet. So we call it a bridge because it's the bridge between either coming back into reincarnation. If you cannot accomplish these two jobs when you are in Chinvat, you come back. You live another life. You come back in another body thousands of years later. Or if you're lucky, if you're a saintly soul, you'll be able to finish your work in Chinvat and you'll be able to move onward. Onward ekleso. So those who come back to earth from Chinvat, Apritenis tan asak kaya. That's all of us. I think we're all coming back. Okay? Tan asak. That means we have to have reincarnation in order to finish our karma, continue to perfect our deeds, our thoughts, our purity. Those who are perfected everything and now can move forward. They are called tanpasin souls. Apre te ormas jasna bhi wish kare ne ka apune tanpasin na rasta par muki rahe, so that we go move forward now. Chinmati pachu nathi aavu. And now when these souls move through the higher dakyus, they become more and more luminous. First, our soul is a subtle body. But as it removes all the druj, all the kak from it, then it becomes a more luminous body. So let's just quickly look at those dakyus again. So upari dakyu in green is chinvat. And now if you are a tanpasin soul, you will move through antare and ivy. And those are what we call fiery dakyus. Those are where the saintly souls stay. And they continue their development there. With Taun development, Suche, we don't know. It's like saying a fetus, how does it develop in the mother's stomach? It develops, it changes. Things happen, you grow hands, limbs, body, organs. Similarly, those souls continue their journey and they become less and less subtle and more luminous or light. Now, pachi એ લોકો જ્યારે એકદમ જ આગળ વધી જાય ને આવી ડખી ઉપર આવી જાય ત્યારે આપણું જ્યારે ત્યાં આવવાનું થશે ત્યારે we will be waiting. Hopefully, આપણું counterpart soul too, when we first were created, તે આપણો વસ્તે ત્યાં વાર જોતું હોય. ને hopefully we can merge with our counterpart soul. ને જો નહીં હોય, that means we have to wait for our counterpart soul. He's a tardy one. આવશે આપણે તો બેસીને વાટ જોઈએ for our counterpart soul ને ધક્કો મારીએ કે get going. Okay? Perfection. To merge with the counterpart soul એટલે શું? It sounds like something inconceivable, but what happened before you were in your mom's stomach? You were sperm and an egg. And when the two met, it became one cell, one single cell. Tevish Ritna. When the two counterpart souls meet at the top of Ivy Q, they will become one soul. There's a lot more to the story, but I mean, just to cut it short, they will become one soul. Okay? One perfected soul. And if they soul, pachi enu status changes now. That process is called Ket for that, means the merging of the two souls, the counterpart souls. Now, once your Ketwa that happens, then your soul has reached the stage of Magawan or Magao. That is what a Magao is. Now, ave tonti bhi, ave I Magao thei gaya ne tonti bhi agal vadwan hoy. Now you're ready. You want to go into heaven. So heaven is even higher light, higher. So higher means not in this distance. I mean more perfect, more pure. So that soul now has to go through a barrier, a fiery orb, which is called Ateseminokarko. Actually, that orb is called Miswanegetu. It's full of the energy of Ateseminokarko. And when that soul passes through there, it goes from semi-luminous to luminous. So now you can see, okay, going through that molten fire and coming back to resurrection does not mean your physical body. It's talking about your spiritual self, because there is no perfection in your physical body. Perfection is in your spiritual perfection. That's what Dadaji has sent us here for. That is why we are here, to perfect our spirituality. Okay? So, tene manasuke farsho kherati or resurrection, that is what they are referring to. So tenathi bhi pachi agal jawanu che ne. We have to go. I'm trying to find the Sat Asman picture here. Okay, let me just go back to the Sat Asman photo. Once we get to this Ateseminokarko and we have passed through that, we have become luminous. Our soul is now ekdam fiery and equivalent to that level of Atas. That's why nothing happens. That's why we can pass. If we are not equivalent, then we cannot pass through that. And we cannot enter the first heavens of Hasti. We have to still pass through the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, right up to Dador Mazda. Okay? So now, Now, passing that Atasimino Karko, passing that Miswane Getu, now we're entering what we call that fifth Zavarna Karna. You know those little circles I had made before? And that fifth, we can have individual Farshokhetri if we are that good and that perfect. But in this fifth Zavarna Karna, all souls, all human beings will be of that level. And they will all, at the end of that Zavarna Karna, they will all go through this Frashokhetri together. Right? That is the fifth. Nipachi, so I'll just refresh your mind. Frashokhetri is what they call resurrection, but it's spiritual resurrection. So at this point, what has happened, if you remember those 9 elements of the soul, 9 elements of a human being. So at this point, what is happening is those physical elements are completely gone. They're completely gone and completely purified, and so is the ultra physical. Kerp Tivishi Ustanap is completely gone. It's now perfected, and now we have left Urvan, Bodang, and Fravashi. So see how we're now going back. It's a process of involution from evolution. So now that we have just Urvan, Bodang, and Fravashi, in the 6th Zavarna Karna, which is called the future of future, that is when we say that we will attain Frashogard, that all humanity will attain Frashogard. That is when our Urvan and Bodang will then join. Because now the Urvan will have perfect divine knowledge. And because it's perfected, its twin counterpart Bodang, it will join, it will merge. That is Frashogard. Okay? And then I'll go back to this picture. So now Urvan and Bodang have also joined. Frashogard Taiguj. Urvan is free. He's no longer bound to all these lower elements. Nipachi, Reyuch, Bodang, and Fravashi. Fravashi is sublimest light. Dador Mazaj Kevai. So, in the next Zavarna Karna, the 7th, or what we call the ultimate end, that Bodang and Fravashi will also merge. And that is called merging into Dador Mazda. So you see, everybody has been correct. There is everything. But it just has to be placed at the right time and place. So I think I've explained this. Okay, in the 6th, the Bodang, the Urvan will merge with Bodang. Okay. And in the 7th, the final one, the entire soul, the Bodang and Urvan are one, and they will merge with Fravashi, and then it's called merging with Aura Mazda. And that is the way that we will progress through all these stages. That is how everybody is actually correct to a certain degree, but not in the right place. Okay, so very quickly, I'll just recap. Earth has gone through 3 evolutions and dissolutions. We are in the 4th evolution of matter. And after we finish that evolution, we will go to higher levels. We will again regress, and not regress, we'll go back to our divine light that we were at one time, with perfect divine knowledge this time. We have the 3 immortal divine elements within us. The ultra-physical elements will be gone, that were created in the every time the earth was evolved and dissolved. Okay? We've gone through that. So anyways, guys, this is a very simplified account of all of these concepts: reincarnation, life after death, soul renovation, Kethodat, Frashokhetri, final merging. You can see that it just matters which place that you're putting it in. It's a matter of which time and place. That's all that you have to consider. Otherwise, there's no point having controversies. There's no point arguing. Everything exists. And that's it. I hope that I've been able to help you understand. And I'm done. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
In 1 hour, in a span of just 1 hour, she has taken us in a complete circle, right from where we started. The reason why we had to all come down. What has happened along the way, and why we need to go back, and how we will go back. And when all this will happen. She has covered it in a completely simple and lucid form. Maybe it's a little difficult for you to, many of you to absorb, because some of these terms are technical. Many of you may not have heard them before. But the line of thinking, if you see, is pretty clear here. Initially we were with Aura Mazda. There was some imperfection within us, which had to be rectified, and for which this whole universe, this whole of creation has been brought into being, simply so that that element of dross, je apરામાં જે grossness હતું, તે નીકળી જવું જોઈએ, and we need to go right back to Dada Aura Mazda, with whom we belong in the first place. And what is going to take millions and millions of years, of course, Havove has had the tough task of explaining to you in 1 hour. So thank you very much, Havove.
Thank you. Thank you
I don't
for
think
listening.
anybody can do better than
I know
this in 1 hour. Excellent.
I know it's a very tough topic, but
yes, it's a very tough topic, and normally this is a series which is taken over a period of 2-3 years, when each concept is slowly and steadily explained. What is time, what is soul, what is Baudang, etc. And someday we will, I guess, Havove will help us out with that understanding also. Temina?
And giving us an interesting lecture.
thank you.
Welcome you back again.
Thank you.
Any question answers?
Is there a connection between soul and reincarnation? The topic. Correct. Is there any connection?
So, can you hear me, everybody?
He's got a query. He's got a question. Let's listen to the answer.
The question is there a connection between the soul and reincarnation? And obviously there is the soul only reincarnates. It's the same soul. It is not a different soul. Because that soul has, from the origin, before creation, has some deficiency of divine knowledge, has some karo dog, as we like to say. And to fix that karo dog, to change that karo dog into light,
Right.
the soul has to go through all these stages of evolution until it becomes human form. And then even in human form, we come back so many times to perfect ourselves, to perfect our karma, finish our karma. Then finally we go back to Chinwat. And back to Chinwat, and that time if we are able to perfect and remove any other karmic or other druj that is attached to us, then the same soul moves forward past the other asmans and into and its journey continues, as I had explained. Did I answer your question?
Finally, it goes to Aura Mazda.
Finally, it goes to Aura Mazda. Now, in this Zavarna Akarna, it is where every human being will pass through these stages.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that individuals right now, aje koi saintly manas yahan hoy, તે સેન્ટલી માણસ એના કર્મ બી પૂરા કરી દે ને એકદમ જ ડિવાઇન લાઇટ જેવો હોય તો એવન તો પોતાની મેળે આગળ વધતા જ રહેશે ahead of us. પણ જાણે કે in those 7 Zavarna Akarna, every human being, every soul will be perfected. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. My God.
Simple one word, Darika.
Okay, the question is for cleansing, what does one have to do? Then she added what, as a Zoroastrian, but I will say for cleansing, what one has to do is follow one's religion, whatever it is. And as a Zoroastrian, what your soul requires. It's a good topic. May I expand on it a little bit instead of one word? Okay. What does the soul have to do to cleanse itself? I પાંચ ધર્મ શું છે? Think of it. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying think of it. As when you go to school, you learn history, geography, science, maths, reading, correct? You don't learn everything in the same class. Am I right? So there's so much for the soul to learn. So each religion has same basic principles, same basic fundamental things that you have to develop and get rid of your druj. But depending on that burden that the soul carries. So supposing your soul is one that has carrying this burden of a lot of hate, supposing. But kadach tame Christianity ma born thaso. Okay, that soul will pass through Christianity. It will learn to gain all these divine qualities by practicing Christian values of love. They focus on love, but their basics are the same. Zoroastrian tariqat ame janmela che. The focus here for us is chokhai, purity, tariqat. Tame Jewish manas ne lao, eno focus, they will all reach Frashokharity. They will all reach Dador Mazda. But their focus in this life has to be according to their dharam. So elo konu dharam jo ke Jewish manaso ke tame silent suffering sikhod. Apra ketla janati silent suffering karyech. Not hardly anymore. Okay? Gupchup, especially women and wives. We cannot sit gupchup. Be injustice side body there. I elokoma silent suffering. Tema apune ketlu soul agal vade. Temati, same principles mati, you get to learn so many things, and you also learn to love. You also learn all these basic values. If you were, I talked about Christian, Jewish. If you were a Muslim soul has to learn service to God. That is his main thing, his or her main thing. God ne su service karo. Mara life back. All my wants and needs I have to put aside and give service to God. When we do practice one of these things in one lifetime, it automatically develops our soul for everything else. But we move forward like this. Which one did I forget? A Hindu soul. A Hindu soul, the main thing is detachment. All these things is not like we don't have to practice detachment. The detachment practice kare from life. Tora, your soul moves ahead. Aprama બધું જ practice કરવાનું છે. Detachment બી કરવાનું છે, but not by forgetting your karmic duties. આપણે love બી દેખાડવાનું છે, કારણ કે every soul, every human being has an ounce of Dador Mazda in them. You have to see that and love that person. You know, aprama service bhi chhe Dador Mazda doing. So we all have to do everything, but our concentration is purity and tariqat. Te tame chalu rakso, te tamaru baddu alchemy thaya karse. Okay? Bas? Any more questions? Oh, Bapre. Huh?
Making the karmic value zero and being away from strong attractions and strong hatred and all these things of strong values and dislikes. Our religion emphasizes on vegetarianism.
You want me to take that?
I can take it. You can take it if you want. I can take it.
Human life or reincarnation are two like
Actually, I didn't hear your question, but I'm going to answer hers first. I didn't hear it properly.
No,
See,
she's saying is vegetarianism essential?
Is
to...
vegetarianism essential? Hi! What are you doing here? That's a good question. Ask him. Is vegetarian essential? Johnny, at some point, thank you, but mahu nahi lavas, huh? At some point, you will be essential. Okay? At some point. See, at some point, you will realize that you will want to be vegetarian. If you're not at that point yet, then I would say practice according to your calendar. On Roja days, but don't eat. And start getting a little bit of that understanding. I animal ma sune. And slowly so that you will develop that desire to become more and more vegetarian. And at some point you will not want to eat the meat. And at that point you leave it. But yes, at some point you will have to.
You will have to.
At some point.
You will have to merge.
But
Vegetarian to merge with what? That's what it is.
nee, I don't know that answer, okay?
She's trying to get a validation for what she does from you.
Like you say here, vegetarian but oriented.
No. If you're this, it's a stage that people go through, and they will eventually become vegetarian. Na? But at the same time, I pasupach ceremony thai magao saibo to get your anasar back, since you seem to know a little bit. Tarito pasupach ceremony ma to khauch pare na. So there are moments when you have to get your anasar back. It's a long discussion. I would rather not take it up right now. But it's about having your anasar come back to you, because your soul, just like we were divided from male and female, two counterpart souls, later on that soul is also have further divisions into the mineral kingdom, animal kingdom, vegetable kingdom. So that elements of your soul which have gone into because everything has a soul, correct? It's coming from us only. So those souls have to then come and do the same process of merging. So you will have to merge your soul. Some people are so lucky they have already reached that. That I will not comment on. I don't think it's necessary, but I don't think so. Eloko cage. But I've asked many people, they were saying because actually apre naso kem mukhe banwama. A dead animal. I mean, sorry to be so blunt, but it's a dead animal. The dead animal તમે બનવામાં મૂકો કેમ? પણ મૂકે જ તો હું એ લોકોને જવા નથી જતી કોણ મૂકે છે કોણ. But I am asking you a question કે નસો આપણે બાળ કાપીએ આપણે નખ કાપીએ તો નસો. હવે તો આખું ને આખું dead animal મૂકે તો કેમ નસો નહીં ગણાય? It's નસો. I'm sorry.
Then how does the soul progress with mother Lola in the Vatsal?
The question is how? Never mind, bol.
Can the departed souls help out the human beings on the earth?
Can the departed souls?
Help us over here on the earth.
Or they're waiting for us. Apune dabko mare, chinto mare, baddu kare. Chalo, let's go, hurry up, help get going, because they are all nature. Every aspect of creation is waiting for us to move forward on the path of our dharam. That's why they apre ek step lesu dador mas taraf to even 10 step apri agal lesse, because every nature will be rejoicing ke koi aje banyu, koi aje kasti kidu, koi aje mora vichar kido. Then our past, our ancestors, our parents who have passed apre banmanu kayete, they are waiting for us to give their prayers for them. Satum mukye. For this reason, anasar pacha male lokone. Je nahi malya hoy I life mate. We hope to give it to them so that they don't have to reincarnate. Hopefully, they are good enough souls to do that. So I think I finished the lecture too soon, huh? I took more questions.
Talk a little bit about anasar society.
I don't know if other people. I don't know all this. Wow, I'm not God. What is it? What has it got to do with unmarried? What has it got to?
More the merrier.
Sure. The idea is this. Okay, you live your life according to the values and principles of your dharam. Apune apra war sathe beri sathe jeklu thai tetlu we have to make it work. Ave ke extreme cases hoy to don't come and say ke you told me I have to make it work so I had to die. Te ritna nahi karwano. But what I'm saying is ke apune sathe kya mukiya ch. We have to learn from one another. And sometimes, even in cases, I'm sorry to say it, but I think the people who might be going through it might understand. Okay, even in cases where there is a lot of war marto hoy, કે એવું થતું હોય. That baby is so strong of a nature. Can you imagine the woman's nature being so strong? She is far stronger than that person who is hitting. Am I correct or not? She has every capability through love to change that person. It will take a lot. But so did Gandhi change the whole nation and get rid of the British from India by doing non-violence. So did Nelson Mandela. So we can do it with our family. So if we cop out too early, કે નહીં રે મને આઈ નહીં જોઈએ, મને તો સારું કંઈ જોઈએ, I didn't ask for this. Okay, then what's going to happen is that he's not going to take any kind of revenge on you, but you haven't gone through what your karmic responsibility might have been. So the idea is that you couldn't take it to koi biju malse that is relatively going to end up in the same situation. Maybe not as bad, maybe it will be a little bit better, maybe it will be worse. But what I'm saying is if you have karma to go through it with dignity, go through it with the concept of I have to not take it from the person, but I have to change that person with love. If you can do it, and if you ask God's help in doing it, I am 100% sure you will get that help. But that is what I'm saying. I badu ideas ka any sare. It's the idea of living a moral life. All of us.
Is it compulsory for taking a person
It's marriage. Don't mix up marriage and frashokharati. Don't mix it up. It's not the same thing. Merging of two souls is not the same thing. For example, why do we say કે આપણા બધામાં દાદા is and everything? Why do we say that? It is one soul. It's not any different from Hindu philosophy that says it's one soul. We are all one soul. It's all one soul. But somehow in this process of creation, that soul has been divided and divided. It's like fission and fusion in nuclear science, right? So you have one cell and it becomes two. Then this cell has become perfect. Amaraji drag druche. Temati perfection karina biju niklech. Temati I perfection. So my cell keeps dividing and the druge keeps getting pushed further. So frashokharati is when that druge cell becomes perfected, it joins with the other counterpart. Now it's okay. And that one joins with the previous and that one joins with the previous. So it's not about marriage as such. There is a distinction between male and female. Okay, we'll meet our male counterpart or we'll meet our female counterpart soul. But that is just because nature works with a sense of attraction. What is attraction? What is gravity? Why does the earth go around the sun? Why do the planets go around? What is, this is all part of the Ushtavad Gatha. Zarthos Pegambar Puchech Daruamazna I Badu Kem Thaich. He's not asking about science. He's not asking about gravity. He's saying what is causing gravity? What is the divine truth behind gravity? And it's a very simple example. When we like somebody, when we love somebody, we will automatically gravitate to them. Am I correct? Love pulls you, attraction pulls you. So Dadu Ama's love pulls us and keeps us in this rotation until we are perfected.
The female comes as a female only, or
Yes. No, you don't change your sex. You don't change your sex. The female soul is a female soul. The male soul is a male soul.
You are what you are because of your soul.
You are
your
what
soul
you
is a
are.
female counterpart. So don't feel so bad about it.
I told my Jimmy Kaka, I wish you come back as a woman. But I'm sure he won't.
Who said that because they are not finished their life properly on earth, that is why they have to get birth again.
નહીં કોને એડમ એન્ડ ઈવ આપણા ધર્મમાં હું કઈ બી એડમ એન્ડ ઈવનું બોલી નથી જો Adam and Eve is a mysticism. Okay? So, આપણામાં મેં જે સમજાવ્યું ને તે છે. Let's keep it at that. Susu?
The source of it is not
Source of it, of course we did the source of it, na? Source of which?
As she said, the two people,
How evil, that's their way of explaining, as Christian way of explaining how evil came to be.
because I've been attending several you take it as a human being or according to your karma,
Oh, you are a human being. You are a human being. Any other questions? Any other questions? No? Can I?
બોલવું છે કે પતાવી દો.
So આપણે ચિન્વતમાં હોઈએ ને, આપણું સોલ ચિન્વત જાય. આપણે thousands of years કામ કરીએ to cleanse our kedar, which is our thoughts, words and deeds that we did here on earth from every lifetime. And to regain our anasar, which is the elements of our soul which are in the animal, mineral and vegetable kingdom. Ne pachi jo soul cannot become perfect, it cannot become that tanpasin soul that has to move forward. Then it has to have reincarnation. The reincarnation ma a soul war joy ke I maro mai thase, I maro bap thase, but every single human being and every single contact that it will have is all decided and determined. Nothing is by coincidence. It's all part of coming back and making our lessons. So even those souls who had knowing, that is why I say if you find yourself in a very difficult life, in a difficult position, know that your soul has wanted you to go through that and knows that you can come out of that situation, whatever that situation is. And because your soul is strong enough, your position might be more difficult. And you are strong enough to come out of it. Always remember that. That is something that is, I would give you a very surface answer, but I think it's a very complicated answer. So I won't answer that.
તમે લોકો each of જે સવાલ પૂછો છો ને, એક જે સવાલ પૂછો છો ને, all of you, whoever is asking, એનું જો એક્સપ્લેનેશનમાં આપણે એક ચીજનો ઉતારીએ ને, તો આપણે 2 દિવસ અહીંયા બેસી રહીશું.
અરે 2 દિવસ.
It is that complex.
અરે આખી
Because
જિંદગી.
આ બધું છે ને એક is a sequence. What you are asking is in between, એક point લઈને પૂછી રહ્યા છે. પણ આ આખો જે sequence છે ને, it works as a sequence.
Joe,
No,
you know,
બધું
you
it
can.
requires patience.
It requires
patience.
If you truly want to know, see, all these things are really not necessary to know. I'll be very frank and honest. It is my passion to know, but it's not my necessity to know, because all that we have to do here is follow our path of dharam. We don't need to know all these answers. We don't need to know that apne mari jasu pachi su thase. They're beyond our understanding. Nay, good karvanu for the sake of good, not ke hu agal vadas. Sake of good. Ekle su, sake of good ekle su.
ઊંધું છે, તમે ગુડ કર્મ કરશો તો આગળ વધશો.
Ekle. Nay. Sorry. I want to just say, okay, you have to love, just like you love food or love something, you have to love good. You have to love truth so much that nothing else matters. Not ke hune agal vadush tithi, but because it's truth. So even at our own suffering, we should stand up for the truth. Even at our own suffering, we should do the right thing. That is what the dharam is about. So not ke hu agal vadas, dodge, because that is still ego in that. You see, hu agal vadu means there is ego. Good for the sake of good.
a focal point. You have to reach.
It is good to know. It is good to know, but the focal point is I have to love good for its own sake.
It is not there, then you cannot progress.
Many people need it, but I'm saying it shouldn't be there. It should be just the right thing for the right reasons karo. Tema eklu happiness che, તો વાત મૂકી દેવો.
Thank you.
થેન્ક યુ.
And there are two more announcements. એક છે Saturday, Sunday, વાપીઝુ સેલ છે for Nowruz at Kamabad. It will start
I should have a sign that says save me.
12 o'clock on 4th and full day 5th. And another announcement, Thodasan છે 26th of March, firstly. તો ઉગાડામાં રપિડ ફન ગેમમાં વાંચી છે.
Oh, nice.
Those who want to attend.
Very nice.
બીજું એક અનાઉન્સમેન્ટ કરવું છે. અમે જે એન્ડ્યોરિંગ ફેથ સિરીઝમાં બીજા લેક્ચરો કરીએ છીએ ને, અહીં રવિવારે પાલમકોટ હોલમાં સવારે 11 વાગે એક લેક્ચર છે બાય એડવર્ડ ડૉક્ટર પરવેઝ બજા. And he is going to talk on the Shahnama and Firdausi Tusi, who is the author of the Shahnama. એમની લાઈફ શું હતી, what made him do it, કેવી રીતે એમને આખું પોતાનું કાર્ય કર્યું. So whoever is interested, please be there 11 at Palamkot Hall this Sunday at 11 o'clock, 5મી માર્ચે.
I don't understand
કારણ કે શાહનામામાં આપણી હિસ્ટ્રી, આપણી જે બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ.
I need this one.
Can I just finish, please?
My computer really goes.
શાહનામામાં તમારા જે વડવાઓની હિસ્ટ્રી છે ને, એ લોકોનો કોડ ઓફ કન્ડક્ટ છે ને, એ લોકો કેવા ઉતા ને આપણા વડવાઓ કેવા ઉતા તેનું મેન્શન છે, જે બીજી કોઈ એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ હિસ્ટ્રીમાં તમને નહીં મળશે. આજની જે મોડર્ન હિસ્ટ્રી છે તે ગ્રીક જમાનાથી શરૂ થાય છે. ધ ગ્રીક્સ આર કન્સિડર્ડ ફાધર્સ હિસ્ટોરિયન્સ. જે એ લોકો લખી ગયા છે, દેટ ઇઝ કન્સિડર્ડ એઝ અ ગોસ્પેલ ટ્રુથ, વિચ ઇઝ નોટ નેસેસરીલી ધ કેસ. એ લોકોની અગાઉ બી હજારો વર્ષની આપણી હિસ્ટ્રી છે. કયાની ડાયનેસ્ટી હતી, પેશડાડિયન ડાયનેસ્ટી હતી, માયાબાડિયન હતી, એ બધી અગાઉની ડાયનેસ્ટીઓ છે. તે વખતના માણસો બી 16 ફૂટ ને 17 ફૂટના હતા.
બોલો. Come up and speak. May he ask a question?
યથાહુ વૈર્યો અથાગતુષ અસાક્ષી અચા વંગ્યુષ દસદાવ મનંગહો શોતેનનામ અંગ્યુષ મઝદાય શત્રિંચા ઔરાય આઈમ ગ્રેગુભ્યો તદત્વાસારિમ શેમ વહુ વૈષ્ટેમસ્તિ ઉષ્ટાસ્તિ ઉષ્ટા અમ્મય યતશાય વૈસ્તાય અશિમ અશેમ વહુ વૈષ્ટેમસ્તિ ઉષ્ટાસ્તિ ઉષ્ટા અમ્મય યતશાય વૈસ્તાય અશિમ. A big thank you to you organizers, Mrs. Temina Peer ne Tanas Kerawala for the usual snacks that she always gets for us. Thank you. ये हमें जरदोस्ती रे मज़यस्नी ने कुल जहां साथे दोस्ती राखी निभाविए टे मुट्ठी भर आटोलो सौ इलमनो श्रृंगार रे बोल बाला बोलो એ વિસ્મરને નાર ઓ તો ખમક્યાની ઓ જગ મશહૂર ઓ સબ સદગુણમાં સાચી ને ભરપૂર કાય વૈ જાલવ શૂર ચૂજ છો આબાદી સાથે જીવજો પારસી કોમ. આબાદી સાથે જીવજો પારસી કોમ.